When did your siblings finally come crawling back for help? I survived a massive chemical fire at 20, but the flames won in their own way. I will never taste food again. The nerve damage that scarred me also robbed me of the only future I'd ever truly wanted, to be a chef. I have 3 siblings who always treated me like I was broken, even before the accident. Too fragile to handle the heat of a real kitchen, too weak to be taken seriously. When I was in the burn ward, they'd visit in shifts, staying just long enough to take selfies in their pristine chef coats. Never long enough for the agonizing parts. Now I am 32, capable and deeply knowledgeable. But to them, I am still that damaged girl who shouldn't expect much. For a decade, I lived for my siblings' restaurant empire. When my brother opened his first bistro, I pulled all-nighters balancing the acidity in his signature sauces using pure chemical theory because he was hungover. I memorized supplier contracts, calculated hydration ratios, and never missed an inventory shift. 5 restaurants between 3 siblings, and I was the ghost in the machine. I knew every health code and every profit margin. While my siblings attended galas or jetted off to retreats, I trained their line cooks, scrubbed walk-ins, and wrote menus from scratch based entirely on texture and molecular science. I drove halfway across the state to secure a rare truffle vendor while my sister had a spa day. I covered frantic Friday dinner rushes while my older brother was getting interviewed. Every grand opening, I arrived at dawn to prep and stayed until closing to balance the books. The prep cooks started coming to me first when a dish broke. The silent chef understands, they'd say. Last month, my sister Vivienne asked me to come to the flagship restaurant. Important corporate restructuring, she emailed. I arrived carrying the seasonal menus I'd been perfecting since autumn. The room felt like an interrogation chamber. All 3 siblings sitting across a massive oak table. 1 empty chair. Vivienne slid a manila folder across the wood. We are buying out your shares because your presence in the kitchen has become a liability. My brother Theodore jumped in. You adjust recipes without consulting us. You undermine our authority. The line cooks ask you for direction constantly. Vivienne said, jaw tight. The sous chef asked if you were the executive chef last week. That is just because I started. You are weirdly obsessed with our kitchens, muttered Ashford. It is uncomfortable. You need to find your own hobby instead of stealing our legacy. Vivienne sighed. Look, some people are meant to be culinary leaders. The way you hover around our stoves proves you cannot accept reality. You cannot even taste the food. You are too pathetic, too clinging. We have a major review coming up. You are permanently banned from our properties. The staff needs to respect their actual chefs without you confusing the hierarchy. We are doing this for your own good, Theodore added. Maybe without our restaurants as a crutch, you will finally accept your disability. I sat there for 30 seconds that felt like hours, then walked out without a word. At home, my boyfriend Edmund found me staring blankly out the window. He held me while I poured out the nightmare. Come down to my cafe tomorrow, he said. Please. The next morning at Edmund's Corner Bakery was intimidating. I usually hid behind the scenes, but his lead baker called in sick. Within minutes, I was rescuing a failed batch of sourdough by strictly reading the dough's elasticity. Edmund's father watched from the counter. She is an absolute savant, he told Edmund. During the rush, an older regular asked who was managing the ovens. When Edmund quietly explained my accident, his father placed a hand on my shoulder. Honey, watching you command that kitchen today was poetry. A working palate does not make a chef. Pure passion does. I excused myself to the alley, crying happy tears. When I checked my screen, my phone was exploding with alerts. Vivienne calling repeatedly. When I answered, her voice was hysterical. What did you do? You have ruined our career. I was completely lost. What? I haven't been there in weeks. The health inspector is shutting down the east wing because the logs are missing. The line cooks walked out. Theodore ruined the duck confit. The main investor is pulling our funding right now. My stomach plummeted.